All right, let me know, folks, if you can hear me out there, please. Okay, thanks. All right, let's go in the room. Welcome, everybody, to the U.S. Retail News 10-Minute Trades Trade Room. My name is Lee Goldstein, Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Remember that all the trades we talk about are for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. Okay, so I'm not really going to talk about DMMs today. So don't mention the word DMM unless you want me to bite your head off. It always happens when one error is made, you then make 5,000 errors trying to fix the one error. So that's what happened with the DMM yesterday. I'll take full responsibility. How about that? I'll take responsibility. The DMMs are now, should be correct. Should be correct. Now, keep in mind one thing, just so you know the truth. I don't create the DMMs. I don't send the original DMM. They get sent to me. Then I send them along to you. And yesterday, of course, I noticed that retail was missing. And I waited for it to be replaced. And it never got replaced. Then I goofed and posted the weekly instead of last month's retail. Ironically, it's a different setup, so it's very frustrating. But I will take responsibility because I didn't notice that I posted the wrong DMM. I posted the weekly schedule instead. So I will take responsibility. I'm usually perfect, but sometimes I'm not. So retail is a trap trade, okay? So if you're not comfortable with the trap trade, just practice it today. You don't have to trade it. We're starting a policy now that summer's ending. We're going to be having one webinar a week. And some of them will be free internal member website, member webinars where we go over various topics. And some are going to be, we'll have sales webinars, which won't interest most of you. But we're going to this policy of one webinar a week. And our first webinar is going to be the Find a Fish, the class that we promised everybody who signed up early for the financial fireworks. So we're going to do that this coming Monday, and Friday you'll get a bunch of emails about the webinar. It's going to be a class that shows you how to find your own trades. So that'll be our first one. Now, this was last month's trap trade. So a trap trade, you have to have a large account. It has to be bigger than 5,000 because the margin on gold is pretty high these days. So I'm assuming most of you are on Ninja. So when you do the trap trade, it considers 4 orders, not 2. So the margin is double with gold. So if you look at what the margins are with Ninja Trader, you have to look at gold. So you scroll down to gold. GC, it's $2,000 per contract. So that's $8,000. And you really need to add 3,000 to 4,000 to that. So if you're going to trade a normal trap trade, you need about 12,000. You should have about $12,000 in your account if you're going to trade gold, because it's going to count 4 orders times 2,000. Each contract times 2,000. We're putting 4 contracts on the chart. We're not filling them all, but the brokers don't know that. They don't know how many orders we're ultimately going to place, so they are going to make an error on the side of protecting their risk. So if you have a small account, you can trade it with micro gold. And as Chantal says, if you only use 1 tier, then you can cut that in half. The trap trade uses what we call tiers, and I'll show you because I'm going to set the trap trade up. So we've had successful trap trades month after month. I have tested the notation about the ES trade on the DMM, and I don't see it working. So I don't know. I don't see it getting filled, so I don't see it as a danger of a bad trade. But I tested the last 2 months with the ES, and it did not work well. So I would not substitute the ES except in simulation to make sure what's going on with that setup. So the trap trade puts 2 orders on the charts about 15 seconds prior to the report. Okay, so you could see that the report didn't fill immediately, which it normally doesn't with a trap trade. We've been using a 10-second preparation for the trap trade. That's what we've been using. So you can see it puts an order above, another order above, and it's a reversal trade. If the price goes up, we sell. If the price goes down, we buy. We expect that what will happen is gold is going to reverse course, because that's the history of its behavior on this particular trade. And that is, in fact, what it has been doing month after month. See how it finally goes down, it fills you. And I don't know if you remember, but that was last month, and I had a platform problem. So hopefully my programmer has solved it, because it's worked in all the trades that I've been taking since, and I've been testing it. The month before, was in, should be June. Let me get there. I'm just fast forwarding the video. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so here's June. So there's the orders again. I've been using a 10-second trap trade. And I know that the setup is slightly different this month. Then look at all the news. There was quite a bit of news with the trap trade in June. You had PPI, New York Empire State. So you had quite a few extra reports. And it still worked. It just barely missed the stop. So I asked my boss to increase the stop by a couple of ticks. And then it changed direction, which is what we wanted to do. What I want to look at, just out of curiosity, I don't think, okay, let me look at one thing real quick. That's what I wanted to see. So last month I used tiers of 12 and 24. Okay. And I think we'll look at the report. I think they're calling for slightly bigger today. And I used order preparation of 10 seconds And I'll show you what I mean. I'll go through the setup. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see what my setup was. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm a lunatic, holy crow, yes. I didn't forget that we're streaming on YouTube. So I do want to welcome our friends on YouTube. It's funny, I'm not seeing. I'm showing that we started streaming. There we go. YouTube sometimes acts really strangely. Okay, so trap trade, as I said, is a different strategy than the strategies you're used to. You know, we normally, I'd say about 90% of our trades are breakouts. That's the bulk of what we're usually doing. A couple of range trades here and there, but mostly breakouts. So how do you set up a trap trade? You're going to do the usual. You right click, strategies, double click on trap trade. Now, I have version 3. Whenever you have is fine. 2 or 3, it really makes no difference. There's a couple of different features in the newer version. The new version is now up on the website, but it makes virtually no difference. I'll tell you what to do. The major difference is if you have version 2, and don't forget trap trade, you double click it and it shows up under configured, and then you get your set of fields. Make sure that position size 2 is set to 1 if you're going to trade one contract, and make sure that position size 1 is also set to 1. That would be 2 contracts on each side of the market. Your bracket center will say price at the time, but your stop loss, if you're using version 2, is going to say average fill price. Click the little down arrow and change it to last fill price. Okay? You don't want the trap trade. You don't ever want to use averages. I don't know why that was programmed in. It was before my time. The markets were very, very different when some of our software was programmed. That's why I've done so many updates to our software. Software, you know, is like it's like an amoeba. It's always changing, always. So that's why, you know, you're always updating. If you're doing your job, you're always updating your software. So the setup is looking for tiers of between 16 and 18 and between 25 and 30. That's big. So, I mean, I'm going to use the DMM today. I am going to use the DMM today. But my previous trap trade settings have been quite a bit smaller. They've been 12 and 24. The setup we're using may only fill on one side, or it might, you know, it's possible. It'll probably fill because both our sides have been filling as of late. So I think we'll get filled at least on one side. But that second tier is rather large, and it can help. The good thing about a large tier is it can help protect you against a very large move in one direction, which is the enemy of the trap trade. So here's the note why we're using a trap trade. It has to do with the response on this report usually not being very large, unstable also. And then there's a little bit of an explanation of what we expect. And I think 5K is not correct. As we showed, the margin is 2,000 per side, per order. That's 2,000 times 4 orders is 8K. I think, you got to have at least 10K, not 5K. And this is the ES that I said I didn't see much movement on it. So if I was going to trade it, I would trade it as a test. And if you've never traded a trap trade before, you should not be trading it live because you don't know how it's going to behave and you don't know how to operate it. And there's no reason to rush if you haven't practiced multiple trades of every type. You should never trade something live that you've never done before. It's just not wise. So if you're unfamiliar, just watch. There's always more trades. I mean, we don't even have to say that. I shouldn't have to say that anymore. There's always more trades. So I'm going to record. So if you take your setup from the DMM, the tiers are between 16 and 18. The old way that we used to do the trap trade is we used to always put a range for the tiers. As of late, I haven't been using ranges. I've had very specific setups that I used. So I would use 16 because my setup has been smaller than these. So I want to make sure we get filled. And I would go right in the middle because I think it's possible that retail news is going to be pretty good. So we would do 16, whoops, not on stop loss. Our stop is 18. My tier 1 is 16. And my tier 2 is going to be 27 ticks. That's a lot of ticks. Entry time relates to what time is the report, and order preparation is activate. That means it's 20 seconds before the report. The report's at 10 o'clock. 8:29:40 is 20 seconds before the report. Now, I have been using 10. It's not okay to trade it as a breakout trade. If it was, we would have a breakout setup. I have not tested the NQ on this report, so I have not tested. I mean, 8:30, not 10 o'clock. My apologies, 8:30. Thank you. There are no other setups that we support. So anything that you do, you're on your own. Okay? 8:30, Mark, not 10. Sorry. So no, it's not a breakout trade. No, we have not created an NQ setup. Okay? If you want to do those things, test it. Okay? They're all good questions, but they're not the way we've been trading it. So if you want to take a risk with your money that you don't know the answer to, which is not recommended, right? Why would you trade when you don't know the answer to your question? Okay? Either trade it the supported way, or test. And there's nothing wrong with testing. So let me go over it again. It's 8:30 on the entry time, not 10 o'clock, so forgive me. Order prep is 20 seconds, which is 20 seconds before the activation. See, that wouldn't change because if your trade time changes to 8:30, so 20 seconds before 8:30, your setup's going to appear on the charts. Bracket centers from the very top. Price at the time, average price bars, that's a fixed default. Position size 2 should be 1. Wait for spike is a default. No, Albert, it's not. It doesn't work the way the breakout trade works. That 20 seconds is going to take care of that, what you're thinking. Okay? I understand what you're thinking, Albert, but no, that's not going to work. That will trigger the trade the 20 seconds early. See, in a sense, Albert, it would do the same thing. The trap trade's a little bit different. It would actually do the same thing, Albert. It's the way the report was designed. I know that's what it states on the DMM, but it's not what it means, and that's why I'm telling you what it means. It means order prep, and it really should say order prep. But the trap trade's a little bit different. So look, very honestly, folks, there's a few things that we have to do, and I think a trap trade DMM is a must. It'll make it less confusing. What Albert is saying would actually do the exact same thing if you activated the trade at 8:29:40. It's the same thing as using the order preparation 20 seconds early. I personally, I almost prefer 8:29:50, but our tiers are bigger, so we'll see. So one more time, just to be clear, average price at the time, average price bars is 10. Position size 2 is a 1. Wait for spike is a default of 5. Position size 1 is a 1. Stop loss position, last fill price, no averages. The stop is 18. Ignore the break-even profit. It's not going to be affected on this trade. Tier 1 is 16. Tier 2 is 27. The trade report time is 8:30. The order prep is 20 seconds. Choose the account that you're trading. That's the setup. Apply it, okay it. Put my charts on live. So what we're expecting, enable it. What I'm expecting is gold will go a certain direction. I think gold's going to probably head down because the news, I think retail news is going to be great. I think retail news is going to be very, very good. People are buying stuff like there's no tomorrow. Let's check our time sync by going to the website time.is. Now, time.is loves my computer, puts me in sync all the time. Now, I normally would not cancel this trade in 10 seconds. I would give the trap trade a little bit of time to respond. That's been our history with the trade, to give it quite a bit of time to respond. Questions, anybody? Questions? Now on a trap trade, obviously you're putting your orders on early. So there is something you can do depending on where your orders are in relation to support and resistance. Support and resistance being a high of the day, such as this green line, a low of the day, such as that red line. Let's say for argument's sake, and it won't happen because it's too close, but for argument's sake, your stop was one tick below the high of the day. I would move it one or two ticks above the high of the day, above. If the trade had gone short, down, and my stop was just under the high of the day, AJ, you can trade micro gold, yes, MGC. And you can do the same setup if you want. You can absolutely trade micro gold. What I was saying about the stop, if you're short and a stop is just under a high of the day, the market has to work a little harder to break the high of the day. So I'd want to put my stop right above the high of the day rather than just below it. So if you want to trade just one tier, you'd put in just one order. Well, in other words, you'd put in just one order. You could use a 0 for position 1 and use a 1 for position 2 and only put a target in tier 2. In other words, if you do everything in tier 2, leave tier 1 at zeros. The support and resistance are pivots, Dutchy. They're part of Ninja Trader. You just go right click. It's too close to the trade. I'm not going to show right now. I can show it after. I have pivots and I have another Ninja indicator called current open high low close, OHLC. It might be OHC. I forget the exact name, but I can show you after the trade. And we also use the VWAP, volume weighted average price, and everybody uses different support and resistance too. And I've said this a million times, I've been waiting for the trap trade software to get updated. Probably the next webinar that we have, it will be a trap trade webinar. So that'll be, my plan is to do that next week as our free webinar. Now I'm listening, I'm using multiple tools to hear the retail results. I'm using Financial Juice. I have their Squawk Box in the background. I've got their website on my other monitor because investing.com, they haven't been showing the news reports very reliably as of late. So remember, so what's going to happen like 40 seconds before 8:30, my orders are going to show up on the chart. So we got about, let's see, a minute, 8:28, minute and a half before the news. So again, I think retail sales are going to be very strong. Think about your own personal life. Are you buying a lot of stuff? Are you shopping? Have you bought a car? Have you bought tires? Good morning, Al. Have you bought a computer? Have you bought a game card, a graphics card? Clothes for the kids? Back to school? I know in my households, people are spending money. Although, I mean, I guess myself personally, I have not spent as much this past quarter as I did the quarter before. So my orders should show up. There's my orders. Now, the stop, I would not move it down because it's too far away. I would leave my orders exactly where they are. So now the news comes out, and now theoretically, we're supposed to cancel this trade in 10 seconds. Theoretically, you should cancel this trade now. But we've seen the trap trade work much, much longer. So it's a small profit. I'm going to combine my orders. And I'm going to take it. I'm going to take my 150 just because. Now, look, it's a little bit choppy, a little bit choppy. You could see the ES, not a really impactful move. It looks like maybe I jumped too soon. It looks like it's going to go up now. The retail news is negative, so you never trade on what you think is going to happen. Never trade what you think is going to happen, okay? Never. It's a little bit choppy, but it looks like it's heading up. You can see investing.com. We have to get rid of investing.com, and I have an idea what we're going to get rid of it for. Now, I will stay and answer any question about the trap trade until you all run out of questions, because you want to be able to do this next quarter, next month, okay? So I will happily stay and answer any questions, do any tests that we need. Albert made 320, beautiful, Albert, beautiful, beautiful trade. I jumped a little bit early, which at my human nature, my DNA is really, my trading disease, folks, as most of you who know me, is impatience. Every trader has a trading disease that they have to work on really hard. My impatience is the biggest. You know, Fred, making $66 on micro gold is a lot of money. That's a lot of money on a micro gold trade. That's kind of why I jumped, because of the choppiness in the behavior today. Because look, now I would have been probably stopped out, or at least partially stopped out. And Mark, $32 in gold micro, $32 in a micro is a very good profit. And it just shows that, AJ, very nice, very nice. I would recommend that, and going forward, what I would recommend is if you don't know how to do something, trade the micro and trade it live. If you can tolerate losing $50 to $75 on a trade, because that's the worst that'll probably happen with a micro. John, I don't set automatic cancels. Your trade canceled because you didn't, I'll tell you why your trade canceled. You canceled 20 seconds early because you forgot to add 20 seconds. It canceled. It's not your fault, John. It's confusion still about the trap trade. Don't anybody feel frustrated. We have to have a webinar on the trap trade. If you use the auto cancel, think really hard about what I'm going to say. It's a little bit confusing. You have to make up for the early trigger. it triggers 20 seconds early. You've got to add that to the cancel. So if you cancel 10 seconds and you use auto cancel, it has to be 30 seconds. That's why, John, your trade canceled early. Okay. You follow me? You follow me? And I never use auto cancel, so I didn't mention that. My fault. I'm bad on that. I should have said it. Why don't I like auto cancel? I don't want to be locked in to canceling a trade when market conditions that you recognize might give you a winning trade. Sometimes you won't know because you can't read the market conditions, but more often than not, if you early cancel, you're going to miss good trades. I never use the auto cancel. I'm truly sorry. I put it in the software. If I was going to take one feature out of the software, it would be cancel in X seconds. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I also don't agree with a lot of the cancels these days, because what we're seeing in the markets now, you would have been stopped out on this trade, folks, if you didn't take your profit within a reasonably quick period of time. I don't mind making $50 on this trade at all. 150. I don't mind it. I don't mind waking up at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday and making $150, and also knowing we have another trade this afternoon. I don't mind a bit. This trap trade has worked, I'd say, I think it's at least 5 months in a row now. So I promise we will have a webinar, a trap trade webinar next week. So the confusion for John was this. He used cancel after X seconds and he put in a 10. But not realizing that you had to add 20 because the orders show up on the chart 20 seconds early. And that's where the cancel is being based at. And it's true of the breakout. If your entry time is 8:29:59, then and it's a 10-second cancel, then it's got to be 11 seconds. Got to be 11. Sanjay, if your orders didn't show up, change your chart from sim to live, right? Change your chart from sim to live. That always worries me. If it says their orders, cancel all your orders also. Make sure you cancel all your orders. You're not in a trade somewhere. TJ, is that live? Was that live? Very nice. Very good. Now, the trap trade, one very interesting thing about the trap trade, it's a very low slippage trade. Very low slippage because you're going the opposite direction. You're going the opposite direction. Okay? In other words, you get slippage when a trade is more commonly moving in the same direction as the market. But look at the chop that gold gives you in this trade. It's just a very, very reliable trap trade. If you made a profit, take a picture, send me the picture of your screen with your profit showing, because I can use it in a webinar to get more members to trade with us. All right? The more people we have, the more money we make, the more ability we have to update our software, change technology, do all sorts of great stuff. So retail, excuse me. So I'd say a good call by my boss, right? Good call on the setup. He slightly changed the setup, made it a little bigger. It worked. Using his setup with our experience of how things have been going in the trade room was a really good combination this week. I agree, Wally. Well, Wally, I'm going to give you slightly a hard time. There's 3 trap trade videos on the website. Tell me the truth. Did you watch them? And then I'm going to yell at you. Did you watch them? Tell the truth. You can take it. You can take it if I yell at you. 3 trap trade videos on the website. Ah, don't remember. Right. Right. Now, they are the old version, but the only difference, the big difference in old version to new is the combine button. Combine button. I cleaned up some of the text. I still think there's a little bit of work I want to do on the trap trade. We have not done very many trap trade software upgrades, and I had nothing to do with the development of the trap trade. That was done before I got here. But there's things that I think need to be made less confusing. So I want to have the programmer on a trap trade either change the order prep to activate so it fits the DMM, or we change the DMM. So I have a funny feeling we're probably better off changing the software, because that I can get done really quickly and really easy. It might be easier to just change the name to order prep, activate. That's probably what I'll do. Well, just so everybody's clear, there are 3, Wally, they weren't always there also. So, but there are now 3 videos on how to use the trap trade on the member website, in probably under quick start. I mean, if you hang on 1 second, let me render the video. And I can show you. I can show you. So if you log into the member website, right? You log into the member website. Let me show you. I got to log into mine. So the member website looks something like this. Everybody has different things on the left. Quick start. Let me see. Yeah, go to quick start, and trap trade is part 6. Quick start, trap trade version 2, and then there's 3 videos you can watch. Intro, adjust, and the stop. Now, I don't use the adjust feature. I find that it's just an older feature that the current markets don't require. Okay? Just so you know. But that's where the videos are. All right, so no reason to lose money on this trade. Did anybody test the NQ? Anybody test the NQ? Let's take a peek at the NQ. The ES did not look like a meaningful move. At 831, that would be your ES trade candle. I did not see good moves on the ES. Nimrod didn't trade. Which one didn't move, Nimrod? Which one? Or the NQ? Yeah, it never, I don't know why. I would think the NQ should be a pretty good setup. Now, I'm going to save my current trap trade setup as a template, because I still have the trade up here. So I'm going to go to template, type save, and I'm going to type retail today's date, 8/17/21. I'm going to call it a trap and save it. And that way, I don't have to look at the video for next month. I know what my setup was. Okay? I know what my setup was. So one thing that is confusing, I'm putting my charts on sim. Let's see if I can answer Wally's question. How do you trade just one tier? Okay. So go to the strategy. You know what? I'm going to wait until we get everybody here, but let me just, I haven't done it in so long. So let's say you just want to trade one tier. I would use tier 2. I would think that I want to trade the outer tier. Okay. So I would make tier 1 a 0. And let's see if it won't allow me to. So let me modify what I'm saying. Let me see if it will let me make tier 2 a 0. Okay, it will. So you've got to do it as tier 1. Let's say you just want to do one tier. Position size 1 would be a 1. Tier 1, I would do, let's say, 15 ticks. Tier 2 is 0. Now it wants to keep creating 16. Let me screw with it because I want to make sure something didn't get screwed up in this version. So we'll go over this next week. I don't want to do it the wrong way. I need to check it and see what's going on because it doesn't look right to me to trade just one. So we'll go over it next week at the webinar. I'll make sure it's correct. Who else? What else? What I would do is trade. Well, no, I want to know how to. I want to be able to trade one tier also at times. Any other questions? So, what time is our next trade room? What time's our next trade room, folks? 4 o'clock, right? So, I'll see everybody at 4 o'clock. If I remove my orders and then look at my live charts, then you can see where you got filled. So I'll see everybody at 4. The DMMs are now correct. If you need the DMM, I sent an extra email this morning, and I put the DMM on the website, so the DMM is correct for this afternoon's trade. Okay. But so everybody understand, right before a trade is not the time to ask, should I trade the NQ? Can you trade the NQ? And I'm not picking on anybody at all. Can I do a breakout? If you're asking those questions, it means you're not doing any testing at all. So you definitely don't want to do anything that you haven't personally tested, that we're not authorizing, right? Without doing it as a sim trade. Thank you, Mark. Without doing it as a sim trade. If you're interested in trading the NQ on a report, after this week, after the Find Your Own Trade webinar, it'll make it easier for you to learn how to set up your own trades. Okay? I don't expect everybody who's new to know how to do that. And I want to thank all the YouTube folks. We're gonna close out our YouTube stream, so thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll be streaming something tomorrow, I'm sure. So trap trade is a little bit, trading is unnerving, right? Trading, there's no denying that trading gets you nervous because you're putting real money at risk. The trap trade's unnerving because, you're going one direction, looking for an ultimate profit in the other direction. That's challenging, right? It's psychologically challenging also, okay? And that's part of the whole concept that I'm always trying to talk about is if you can defeat your psychological issues, that is probably 97% of why people struggle with trading. It's not because they don't know how to put the trap trade on. It's not because they don't put the breakout on properly. It's because they do things incorrectly because of fear, right? Isn't that really the whole truth about trading? Fear is the greatest enemy. And fear creates impatience also. So my DNA is impatience, but that impatience is probably pushed by fear. If you really think about it, and I'm really honest with myself, it's fear. Is there a video in the members area that explains how to use playback to run multiple tests? AJ, what do you mean exactly? Multiple tests with different inputs? I don't see how you could do that. And Chantal, you can correct me here if you're here. You can only trade one setup per instrument. You'd have to do different setups, AJ. It's a different setup each time because you can't use the same instrument for the same test. Well, and once you set up a replay, AJ, once a replay is set up, all you have to do is change the inputs. You don't have to change anything else on a replay. So any replay, I don't know if there's a replay video up on the member site. I think there probably is. I think there probably is. If not, AJ, just send me an email. Help at 10-minute trades. I have a replay video I can send you. And all you would do is just change the setups for each replay, the inputs. Ideally, AJ, I record them, right? If you record them, you make it so much better for yourself. Minimally keep a journal, of course, right? Keep a handwritten journal. Or an Excel sheet is awesome too. It might, if it is a replay 7 video, I'll get it replaced. I've got a million NT8 replay videos. If you become a member of our YouTube channel, folks, you can watch all the videos that are on our YouTube channel, and there are a ton of replay videos. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and just look for a replay video. You can't believe how many there are. All right, so everybody, I'll see you at 4. I'll see everybody at 4. Okay, folks. See you later. Chantal, I don't see you or hear you. I hope you're getting this message for YouTube. And YouTube, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.